Sports Addict Live NHL Show brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles until January the 4th. First Round Collectible has tons of sports cards on sale up to 50% off. That's right, 50% off. And with the promo code Sports Addict, you get an additional 10% off. If the discount's 20%, well, you get it for 10. If it's 30, you get it for 40. If it's 40, you get it for 50. If it's 50, you get it for 60. FirstRoundCollectibles.com, promo code Sports Addict for an additional 10% off. That's the number one. STRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax.
Welcome the NHL Show on Sports Addict live on YouTube and X. Oh, yeah. Let's loop the intro song, shall we? Shake things up on a Friday. How you boys doing? John, starting with you, man. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. It's pretty satisfied with some of my picks yesterday.
Yeah.
Try not to bloom on that one. How about you guys?
What about you, Andre? How are you?
Probably not as up as John, but I'm pretty good myself.
No.
So
Yeah, doing well. As I was telling you guys before, playing a little hurt today, as the NHL calls it, and upper body injury. My wife and my son were sick for the last 2 weeks, and it finally caught up with me, boys. Finally, I tried everything. I've been sleeping on the couch. I've been like staying away, and it eventually gets you. It's a weird thing with the NHL. Side note, the like lower body injury, upper body, like we never actually know like what the problem is. It's just like the guy, he gets like a concussion. Clearly, it's an upper body injury. It's like no, that's a concussion. Like he got hit in the head. No, it's upper body. Oh, okay, all right.
I'll never forget Matt Zuccarello in the playoffs having a fractured skull, and every day it was upper body, like day to day, questionable. Dude's fully in the hospital, can't he?
I know. I mean, it doesn't really matter like to me in my daily life, but it's just kind of like, guys, like, let's just be real here. Like, just tell us what happened. I don't know what the NHL's deal is with it. If it's like something that is going to be like lingering around for a while and the guy's going to be playing, I can understand like there's like I don't know, some issue with the hand, and the opposing team is like, yo, that guy's hand is not good, like let's hit it. I can understand. But if the guy's out for like 3 weeks, it's like, just call it what it is. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to our takeaways from last night. 4 games in the NHL, not too much to get into, all pretty entertaining games. I would say Sharks and Edmonton, the least entertaining, but not entertaining. John, what's your takeaway from last night, my friend?
My takeaway is going to be from the last game of last night, and probably one for the sake of the NHL, it was best it was on late. And I'm talking about the game at the Shark Tank between the Oilers and the Sharks. Yesterday, I speculated that Edmonton might want some redemption for the first meeting they had in the Shark Tank earlier this season back in November. Andre and I really believe that was the low point of Edmonton's year where like they had to start making changes and they just hit rock bottom. And since then, Edmonton's been playing better. Well, now last night they got reminded of where that all started and they came out swinging, to their credit. I mean, the Sharks almost waved the white flag before the game started, putting a goalie out there making his NHL debut against a team like the Oilers. But I felt like yesterday this was either going to be a runaway Edmonton game or the Sharks would compete in a dogfight. It turned out to be the former. I think it does say a lot about both teams and where they're at right now. Edmonton, I think it says about them that they're kind of moving forward from their rock bottom point of the year. And they're only, I think, 5 points out of a playoff spot. I personally believe Edmonton's going to end up in the playoffs, or at least be close to them where they are now. And the Sharks, I think they're going back to being the worst team in the league. They had a good stint where they had one small winning streak this season where we thought things were looking on the up and up, but I think we're kind of back to reality for the Sharks now, with them having a lot of issues that need addressing. And when they don't show up, they get blown out pretty bad.
Well, and we talked about it with the Kings game, right? Like the Sharks are losing every game by 3 or more goals now. Like we're back to it. And I think last night at the Shark Tank with the Oilers, still not fully trusting the Oilers. Like they might make the playoffs. That wouldn't surprise me, but still not a lot of confidence there. But yes, yeah, John, you were right. All right. We acknowledge we tip our cap, as it were. What
we
about
did
you?
try to team up on that one.
Yeah, we did. And yours hit. I get it. Andre, what do you got, bro?
On a night where McDavid got his 895th point, he became the 125th player in NHL history with more points than Wayne Gretzky has goals, which is 894. Tie that into, it's wild, right? So that ties into some games into today and kind of me stumbling upon something last night. Austin Matthews is 5th all time in goals per game. Mm-hmm. He's ahead of Wayne Gretzky. He's ahead of Ovechkin. He's ahead of Brett Hull. There's a little someone in this podcast right now who believed one night and exclaimed that Austin Matthews would break the all-time goal scoring record. Obviously, that's a case of longevity, but he's on a historic pace, and I think it's very arguable that he's not at his best yet. So, Austin Matthews, greatest goal scorer ever? Is that incoming? Anyone?
I mean, if we're talking right now, over the last few years, I would say he is the best goal scorer right now, in my opinion. Last year was a down year for him. He got 40 goals. Disappointing down year. He got 40 goals. I 100% think that this guy, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he can absolutely break Gretzky's record. I 100% believe it. 100%.
John, any bite? I know we're looking very far ahead here.
For sure.
I'm trying not to disagree all the time. I don't even disagree with it. I think I'm more of like, I want to see a little more before I really have a take on this subject. I think it's a little too early to tell in his career for me to have a real stance on the subject. He's certainly having a great start to his career, given the stat, no doubt about it. And he's like, I shouldn't even say with Wayne Gretzky. I said on a previous podcast, and when I was growing up, Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin were kind of like the kings of the NHL when it comes to star players. And I think in terms of younger players, like Austin Matthews is definitely one of the guys leading the charge there. I think I'm more at the point where we're maybe halfway into his career, maybe. I think I just want to see some more first. Give me like 3 or 5 more years before I make a real stance on this.
I just think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, including this year in the NHL. 40 goals, 34 goals, 37 goals, 47 goals, 41 goals, 60 goals, 40 goals, 28 goals. The year that he got 41 goals, I believe, was the COVID year. I believe. Or no, 47 goals was the COVID year. 41 goals was also shortened season as well. 34-37, he played 62 and 68 games. 28 goals this year, he's played 31 games. Like, I don't know. To me, it's only the beginning to me. And I also watch him every night. Like, that wrist shot is just insane. My takeaway, we've been giving Vancouver a lot of love, and deservedly so. Not like undeserved by them for sure. Philly last night, man. That team, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure more people, and I understand it. I'm sure more people are gonna say, like, still gotta see more from Philly. Like, gotta see more from Philly. That game last night, like, I watched that whole game, and 4-1 is not indicative of that game. Vancouver played pretty well for the most part. I thought the first period they were okay, but they controlled the puck for a lot of that game. 3 goals in 5 minutes for Philly, and the floodgates opened. It was really crazy to watch. You don't see that from Vancouver very often. And Philly just persevered, and they just stuck to their game. Third period starts. Philadelphia gives up the goal like immediately, right? 3-1. Then Philly takes a penalty and they score a shorthanded goal, and it's 4-1, and the game is over. I was really impressed with Philly last night. I've been saying it for a while now. I really do think that this team is absolutely for real. You can tell by the way they're playing. They have bought in fully to Torts and whatever's going on behind the scenes. I really like this team. I don't believe it's the same conversation that we had about Colorado the other day. I don't think this speaks negatively to Vancouver. I think Vancouver played a good game. And a lot of times when Vancouver wins, everything goes right for them. Like, it's like a perfect game. And so they have to learn to win these games. But an excellent night for Philly. Bad beats. My brain is completely melting. John, we did do your takeaway. All right, awesome. Andre, what's your bad beat, bro?
Well, if we rewind to probably exactly 24 hours ago, I was given so much love to Canadians plus 1.5. It was minus 112. I said this is a scrappy team. Canes just played the night before, so second half of a back-to-back. I understand Carolina probably wins, but Montreal's not going down without a fight. And they didn't. They were down 2-0, tied it. Down 3-2, tied it again. Down 4-3. It's coming down to the wire. 19 seconds left. Empty netter. They lose 5-3. They were right there the whole game. They tied it. It was tied for so much of that game. They were down 1 for so much of that game. There was 19 seconds left. You're pretty much running a 200-meter dash at that point. And they couldn't pull through. Plus 1.5 lost. it really hurt. It hurt my pride more than anything, but they were right there the entire time and just
Yep.
couldn't keep it within a goal.
It was super crushing too, because if I'm not mistaken, they took a penalty in the final 2 minutes too. So not only was it an empty netter, but they were also shorthanded. And it's like, boys, like, come on. It's frustrating. I am really impressed with this Montreal team, though. Like, I'm like the fact that they came back from being down 2-0 within the first 10 minutes of the game. I thought Carolina, for the most part, pretty much controlled that game. And Montreal, like you said, man, never went away and did not go down without a fight. John, what about you, man? What's your bad beat?
I'm gonna transcend sports on this one to a team that that the Sharks are probably happy exists right now. Let's go to Boston, to a familiar arena with the Bruins playing there. But last night it was the other tenant, the Boston Celtics, playing there. One of the best teams in the NBA, hosting the lowly Detroit Pistons. And the reason why the Sharks are glad the Pistons exist is because the Pistons, going into last night, had lost 27 straight games. And in the basketball world, I think given our allegiance for all three of us, it's safe to say we all have no love for the Celtics. So last night, I was out a little bit before I got home, but I got a text from one of my friends that said the Pistons are actually winning against a quite talented Celtics team by 19 at halftime. So I get home and turn on the TV, texting you guys about that game, and I find out Boston not only came back, but the game was going to overtime as I got home. So I turn on the game, watch it as it's in overtime, and just see Boston absolutely pull away, causing so much heartbreak for not only Pistons fans, but basketball fans and sports fans in general that have a lot of sympathy for the team, plus people like us who just hate the Celtics. So I think the bad beat is like just sports fans not seeing a team that quite frankly needs a win get one.
Yeah. And the Raptors are in Detroit tomorrow, and everybody here is terrified. Especially with the way the Raptors season has gone, everybody here is, and I'm sure that's conversation around most basketball markets when Detroit comes to town, or they go to Detroit. But I think I saw on DK that Detroit was the most bet on money line.
Wow.
And yeah, I can't remember if it was in the NBA or like for everything. But yeah, people loving that. It wasn't like plus 850 or something like that.
It went down drastically because remember I told you guys I bet on it the night before. It was plus 1100, and
oh wow,
by the time we did the pod yesterday, it was plus 850 because they had a ton of cash on it. Like everyone,
that's a big move.
It's
a big move.
Yeah, that's a huge.
It was so close.
Imagine letting it ride like that entire losing streak.
Oh, there's a stat out there around somewhere, man. You would make like thousands of dollars by now, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's a good thing that they lost, Andre, because then you would have been up watching that stupid Sharks game, like hopeful. All right. So for my bad beat, John, I owe you an apology.
Why am I full screen for this one?
Because you're the center of attention right now. You and I disagreed on pretty much everything last night. The only thing that we did agree on was the under of the Sharks game, and that hit, but I don't count that because I was a part of it. You were right about everything, and I was wrong about literally everything. I wouldn't let it die, and I kept arguing you. It's very humbling for me, John, because you are 5 or 6 years younger than me. I began skating as you were entering this world, I have been a part of this game for a very long time. And you humbled me last night, and I want to thank you. Sometimes we need humbling to achieve growth. I just made that up myself, and I think it sounds very wise. And so, John, please accept my apology. I'm sorry.
I'll just say it's one day of bragging rights. I probably after tonight, you're gonna kick my butt in the record of gambling. That's how
hope
it's that's how it's
I
going
hope
to be
so.
for me. I have one great night and then have one horrible night the next night.
You deserve your flowers, man. You did great. I still think I was right. Just the games didn't go the way I thought they were. You know what
I'll
I
fully
mean?
admit, Carolina, I got lucky. Carolina, I got lucky as hell. I should have lost that one.
But that's gambling, man. That's what happens. You take them. Speaking of gambling, thanks for being a good sport, John. I know I'm sure just being the only person on the screen while someone else was talking was highly uncomfortable. But you deserve it.
I didn't know what you were
deserve
up to for a second. Not gonna
You
lie.
deserve it.
It's when you bust out the Canada baseball and make them nervous.
Yeah. Well,
I need to get one of those for these occasions.
It's an essential.
speaking of which,
It's a mark essential.
absolutely. Toronto. Speaking of Canada, Toronto is in Columbus. I feel like this team, and actually, this is probably true. I feel like this team has played every week for the last 3 weeks, these two teams. Because they played last Saturday, and they played was it a few days before or a week before that whole crazy 6-5 Columbus win game? But they've played 3 times in the last 20 days, I'm pretty sure.
I do feel like we talk about this game very often.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it says
Definitely
December 14th
Yeah.
and then December 23rd and then now December 29th. So yeah.
Yeah. Here we are again. Toronto is in Columbus. Toronto is minus 205 on the money line. Columbus is plus 170. On the puck line, Toronto is plus 114 for minus 1.5. Plus 1.5 on the puck line for Columbus is minus 135. The over is 7 at plus 105. The under is minus 125. So listen, when it comes to this game for me, I have a couple props that I'll bet. I'm not betting the result of this game. And the reason why is, first of all, minus 205, obviously too much. I think that Toronto should win this game. If it was in Toronto, I would actually probably pick Columbus to win, to be honest with you. But the fact that it's on the road, I do believe Toronto can win this game. Minus 205, too much. 60-minute line, I'm not sure what it is, but these two teams went to overtime 2 weeks ago, and Toronto goes to overtime pretty much always. So I don't want to bet 60-minute money line. I also don't want to bet the puck line because Samsonov is back between the pipes, and I don't know how much attention this is getting in the American hockey world, but in Toronto, Samsonov is not a villain. I wouldn't say that, but we are concerned about nobody more than we are concerned about Samsonov. Samsonov, last 5 games, 1-1-3. He has for the season, he has an 871 save percentage, 3.79 goals against. When you watch him play, every goal almost is a bad goal. He got the shutout against Nashville a couple weeks ago. But like the last time that whole Columbus game where Columbus is up 5-0, and then that was all Samsonov. The 9-3 or 9-4, whatever the score was against Buffalo, that was Samsonov. Samsonov, it's been a dark place for Samsonov. And anything that I can say to make myself think that Toronto can win this game is immediately nullified by the fact that Samsonov is between the net. I am super close to it, and I watch this guy every week, and it's frightening, and I don't trust it. I personally, I mean, with what I'm telling you, I can understand taking Columbus here. I do think Toronto will win this game. My favorite bet of this game is the over. I don't fully know why. I mean, I understand 7 is a lot. I get it. But for it to be plus money, like Toronto scores 4+ goals a game. They give up like 3+ goals a game lately. And Columbus has been scoring too. So I like the over. A couple little things. Matthews, 7 goals and 10 points in his last 5 games. I would take him scoring a goal. Absolutely. Riley has 77 shots on the year. Over 2.5 is plus 110. Toronto is 7th on the power play, 12th on the penalty kill. And so, like we said last time, pick your power play props. I will support all of them. Oh, the other thing with Riley, 6 shots in his last 2 games. So I like his prop. Andre, do you see what I see, or do you look at this a different way?
I think it's hilarious that you said you're more comfortable with the Leafs on the road, because the first thing I said when I saw this game was, "Oh, Toronto's on the road; they're going to smoke them." I feel more confident in this team when they're traveling. Buffalo notwithstanding, Buffalo doesn't count, but I like them better on the road. The Maple Leafs offense against the Columbus defense is a huge mismatch. We've already seen Toronto scored 9 goals in the 2 games against them this month, 5 the first time, 4 the second time. I don't see that changing. Columbus is too inconsistent in pretty much every way to really trust. I know there's concerns with Toronto's goaltending and all that, but it's not enough to sway me from taking Toronto minus 1.5 here. I just really think their offense is going to have their way with the Blue Jackets and overwhelm them.
I love you. That's awesome. Thank you for calming my nerves. It's tough when you're close to it, man, and you're like, oh my gosh, Samsonov's in net. Jeez. John, what do you see?
To back up Andre's road point a little bit here, I just looked at Toronto's record, and apparently they've gotten at least 1 point in 80% of their road games this year. So they're definitely not bad on the road by any means. With that said, I actually agree more with Mark here. I feel like it hasn't happened in a while. When I look at the Leafs, I almost look at a mirror image of my own team, which is why I think I lean more towards Mark's position on this game. I think with the Leafs, from a betting perspective, I don't fully trust them right now. And I personally feel like when it comes to my own team that we're living on the edge a little bit, and that's kind of how I feel about Toronto right now, where they can score. Whether Toronto's even better at scoring goals than the Devils. Mark's mentioned the goaltending issues that Toronto has had of late, and I just can't help but feel like the last week or so, me and you have had similar complaints about our teams, and I feel it tonight. Which is why I'm going to say, similar to when the Devils play Columbus, I like Toronto to win the game, but I don't like the puck line. I personally feel like I personally feel like my favorite bet in this game is the Columbus puck line. I think they're a weird team that can just keep it close. And I do feel like it's going to be that type of game where my personal prediction is Toronto wins it by 1 goal. I'm not sure if this is going to be regulation or overtime, but I feel like Toronto wins a close one. I do find it interesting that this is the third time they're playing in just over 2 weeks. We talked about that classic shootout game that was a bit of a nightmare earlier this year, or 2 weeks ago, I mean. And then Toronto had a bit of redemption last time, 4-1 on the road. But Columbus is coming off a heartbreaker against the Devils. I do think that's going to play into this a bit. But actually, I should say both teams are coming off heartbreakers. So I feel like both teams are going to be at their best tonight, especially because this is kind of the third game in a recent series. I just feel like this is going to be a close game. So it's a little more juice than I would like for this bet, but I do like the Columbus puck line here.
What I'll add is on bet MGM, I took this and it burned me the last time, but I do like this for tonight as well. For Maple Leafs to win and over 5.5 goals is plus 105. So you take the under from 7 down to 5.5, and you add the Leafs money line plus 105. I like that play a lot. All right. Moving over to Detroit. Nashville is in Detroit. Detroit is minus 112 favorites. Minus 108 is Nashville. Over 6.5, minus 115. The under is minus 105. Plus 1.5 for Nashville is minus 258. Puck line for Detroit is minus 1.5 at plus 210. John, what do you see in this game?
I'm very on the fence about going back to Detroit after Wednesday's game. They burned me pretty bad with the Wilds. I really thought that was going to be the bounce back game for them, and I'm just going to say it. Detroit came out really flat in that game, giving up 6 goals to the Wild. Never really in that game. I think that's a point I have to concede to you guys. I don't even want to say I underestimated the Wild. I think I overestimated Detroit more than anything, which makes me really nervous to back them in this situation. I think I'm still thinking about the results of that game, and they're going up against a talented Nashville team. I mean, Detroit is definitely better in goals per game, with 3.51 and being 5th in the league in that category. Both teams are not far off with the power play, penalty kill. Both have a little bit to be desired here. Honestly, this is just a value bet in my opinion with the way Detroit is playing right now. I think I just trust Nashville more. So to get them at even money, I have a slight lean towards Nashville. Not very, very confident in that bet, but that's where I'd lean.
What about you, Andre?
Am I good? I'm pretty much in agreement with John. Nashville, they were playing well, kind of slowed down. They've been allowing a lot of goals lately, but I still think they've been playing better than Detroit, who's been a mess defensively, a mess in net. I just don't trust Detroit really at all. So my favorite bet in this by far is the over 6.5. Just both teams are struggling to stop pucks right now. But I'm also leaning towards the Predators winning. I just like the way they're playing more right now. Or I guess I really dislike the way Detroit's playing. You can take that however you want. But it's the way I look at this game. High scoring. Nashville comes out on top. I see one of these teams scoring 5, and I trust that to be the Predators more than I trust it to be the Red Wings right now.
Interesting. So instead of just disagreeing with John, I'm disagreeing with both of you guys. This is a weird place for me to be in. I heard and understood all of it. I absolutely can't disagree. The thing that piques my interest with Detroit, though, is Alex Lyons is coming back tonight. 4-3 record, but in those 7 games, he has a 932 save percentage, 214 goals against average. He's allowed 13 goals in those 7 games. He's by far been their best goaltender. Now he hasn't played in a couple weeks, so maybe that won't matter. Might be a little bit rusty. I actually do like this as a bounce back for Detroit. I think, yes, Nashville is 13-6 in their last 19 games, but if you really narrow it down, they're 1-3 in their last 4. I think Kane has been basically point per game since getting there. He's begun to get hot. I don't know. There's something about this spot because you remember Husso went down and Lyons went down, and you had what's his name, Hutchison and James Reimer back there. And no disrespect to those guys, but that's some dark times. And Perron comes back tonight from the 6-game suspension. I like this team tonight. I understand that history will tell us otherwise, but something about this spot I like for Detroit. On the prop side, though, I love Nashville. So Forsberg has 131 shots. Over 3.5 is plus 114. He has 16 goals, plus 150. O'Reilly has 14 goals on the year, plus 210 for him to score. Forsberg, Yossi lead in assists, and you can get both of them at plus money. Kane has 5 goals and 9 points in his last 5, plus 195 for him to get a goal tonight. What I do like on the Detroit side as well is that their power play is the 13th in the league, where Nashville has the 25th best PK. DeBrincat has 12 power play points, plus 280. Larkin has 14 power play points, plus 195. And Gostisbehere has 14 power play points, plus 340. So those are my kind of go-to props for that game tonight. Going down to Florida, Sunrise, your boys, Andre, are in town. Florida is minus 148, which I find to be absurd, by the way. Minus 148. The Rangers are plus 124. On the puck line, the Panthers are plus 160, and the Rangers on the plus puck line are minus 192. The over is 6 at minus 130, and the under is plus 110. Start us off, Andre. What do you see in this game tonight?
Well, when these teams meet, it tends to be high scoring and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a gut feeling based on memory. I looked it up. It's factual. 9 of the last 10 games finished over the total with at least 6 goals. The only one that didn't was the most recent meeting in March. That was a push because it was a 7-goal game and a 7-goal total. So usually these are high scoring games. That being said, I love the under in this one. I know the Panthers offense comes alive at home. They score 3 goals per game. Rangers score over 3 goals per game on the road. But both teams, top 10 in PK, top 10 in goals against. Jonathan Quick is in net tonight, but he's having a strong season. It's not much of a drop-off there for the Rangers. You know, Bobrovsky's on the case always for the Panthers. Solid option. Anthony Stolarz behind him is also good. So under 6 is plus 110. Great value. I love it. That's my favorite bet from this game. At plus 124, I feel like I have to take my boys, the team that to win the President's Trophy right now. So that's where I'm headed to. I mean, they're really good on the road still. I know the Panthers are a solid team. I know they're going to give the Rangers. When you take the Canucks plus 105 all those games, it's the same thing. You're getting a great team with really good odds.
Yeah, I 100% agree. What do you see, John?
I agree about the under. Looking at the line, I am also very surprised that Florida is this big of a favorite tonight. Normally, I would jump on it, but I hate saying this as a Devils fan. The Rangers are too talented to fade on a puck line. Like the Rangers are just too good
Yeah.
to bet against them, like losing by 2 goals. I mean, because that would be the only play I would really be looking at for Florida, given the money line here. And I'm not saying Florida isn't going to win the game, but I think the money line's too high to really have a lot of value there. And I don't really trust the puck line enough to back Florida here, despite the plus 160 being tempting. With that said, I agree with Andre about the under. I like it too. Considering these are 2 of the top 6 teams in goals allowed per game, I think that's where the value is personally. And I think that's what I would ride if I'm betting anything in this game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is an absolute clean sweep. I'm not super confident on the underplay. I think that one can easily go both ways there. I really do like the Rangers plus 124 though. Now, what I really love, and I think that it's still possible to hit the under with this if the Rangers can hold Florida to 2 or less goals. The Rangers are 6-2 in their last 8 games. In those 6 wins, they have scored 21 goals. Pretty good. Not bad. Less than 4 goals in those 6 wins. Less than 4 goals once. They're scoring 4 goals like every time they win lately. For the Rangers to score over 3.5 goals is plus 170. And I know Bobrovsky, he's the number 1 cop on the force. I'm aware. But that's just the trend with the Rangers. They've been scoring 4 goals plus pretty much every time they win. And over 3.5 is plus 170. The other, and I know Panthers PK is 8th. But the Rangers power play is first, and Panarin 22 power play points plus 120, 17 power play points for Zibanejad plus 185. The other part of this as well is Florida has had a 5-game winning streak from November the 6th to November 14th. Since then, they're 10-9. So basically 500 since the middle of November. I think this sets up way better for the Rangers. The other prop that I want to mention real quick is Panarin has 135 shots. The over 3.5 is plus 120. So anytime I can get plus money on a Panarin shot total, I am taking it. All right. From one of our dudes' teams to another, all of our teams play tonight, and they're all on the road as well. Your boys are 6 hours down the 401 from me. New Jersey Devils are in Ottawa. Ottawa is minus 105. Devils minus 115. The over is 7 plus 110. The under is minus 130. The Devils on the puck line plus 200. Ottawa on the puck lines minus 245. John, what do you see in this game, and why can't I stop looking at the over?
Probably because these two teams are pretty much track meet teams. I mean, they're nearly even in goals a game. Like Ottawa's 3.43 and the Devils are 3.42. And I look at the power play here, and Ottawa's not great on the power play at all, but the Devils have been slacking a little bit. Like they fell under 30% when they were like 2 or 3 percentage points higher just a couple games ago. So I am a little concerned that their power play is coming back down to earth of late. With that said, I think I would steer away from the total just because the Devils have been playing with fire with that of late. Like the other one was a push the other day, and the one in Detroit went under. I think it's a little too obvious here, but I do like the Devils winning this game outright. And the reason why is because I think this is a very bad matchup for Ottawa. The Devils, in my opinion, play Ottawa's game much better than Ottawa does. I think Devils just have more talent, and both of these teams really are like track meet teams that rely on a lot of goals. But I think the Devils just have more talent to put them over the top in this one. And we've talked about this earlier this week already. The Devils are not trustworthy enough to bet a puck line on, even on the road. So I think I would just play it safe here and pick Devils money line to win.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. From an Ottawa perspective, both teams are coming off a 2-game winning streak right now. They're both trying to turn their seasons around. Obviously, Ottawa's coming from a much darker place than the Devils are. I think if you're Ottawa here, you just beat the Leafs, your provincial rival at home. You basically bullied them. You got Kachuk. You got guys who can bully around. And Ottawa does have skill. I've said this over and over again this year that the way Ottawa's playing based on the talent they have is just mystifying. Like, they have good players. They have Brady Kachuk. They have Stützle. They have Claude Giroux. They have Tarasenko. They have Josh Norris. They have Sanderson. They have Chikrin. Like, they have really good players. I would agree with you that the Devils money line is probably the best play. On the flip side of that, though, this needs, like, Ottawa needs to keep winning games. If they want any shot at all to meet their potential, I think Buffalo's done. I also think Buffalo is a roster that should be done. People thought Buffalo would make it to the playoffs. I don't know who those people are. It wasn't me. But Ottawa is a team who should be going to the playoffs. They should. And so I personally want Ottawa to win this game. No disrespect, John. That's not personal, even though the last couple of days have been rough for us. Not personal. I want to see Ottawa keep winning. I want to see them meet their potential. I want to see them go back to the playoffs. But I just still don't trust it. And I agree with you that the Devils money line is the play. I would slightly disagree with the over, though. I understand what you're saying, but mark my words. If Ottawa goes up 3-0, 3-1, or whatever, this game is going over.
That I agree with. If Ottawa starts off hot, it's going over.
If Ottawa starts off hot, because you know the Devils are right behind them, and they're coming for sure.
Yeah.
Andre, agree or disagree?
I love the over big time. Hard to agree with John. Just looking at the numbers like I was just now, the Devils' power play against the Senators' PK, such a huge mismatch to me. And I really think that makes a huge difference in this game. And I think that's why I would be willing to take the Devils' puck line in this game.
Ooh.
Coming from a Rangers
at that
fan,
plus
too.
200. I really just don't see Ottawa, the way they've been playing, stopping this Devils offense. And I know the Devils have just as many issues stopping the puck, but I think they're in a better place right now. And getting consecutive wins at home where they had been fighting demons, they've been a better team on the road this year. I think this is a game that the Devils dominate.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually have this written down: the Hughes 17 power play points plus 130 and Bratt 18 power play points plus 175. I feel like I throw out those stats every time this team plays, but you just can't ignore those numbers. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
All right. Going down to the island, Washington is in New York. Washington is plus 130. Dogs on the road. Islanders minus 155. The over is 5.5 at minus 120. The under is plus 100. Plus 1.5 for the Capitals is minus 198. Minus 1.5 for the Islanders is plus 164. So Washington, if I remember correctly, Washington is either at the end of a road trip or starting a new one. I can't exactly remember now. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They have been outscored 2-7 in those last 2 games. They've only played 2 home games since December the 9th, which to me, the Islanders got embarrassed against Pittsburgh. Yeah, like that was horrific. And I think this is a really good spot for the Islanders, personally. I don't like taking the Islanders puck line this year because it's been super volatile. They've been allowing a lot of goals. They've been scoring goals. Everything's all upside down in like New York Islander land. But I actually really like the puck line here. The Islanders, even despite that game, if you take that game out, okay, those games happen. You lose 7-0. It happens. It sucks. You just take it out. Just throw it out. Islanders are 7-4 in December. I just think this is a really bad spot for Washington, and I think it's a perfect spot for the Islanders, considering how badly they were embarrassed the other day. I don't like the money line 155, not for me. I like the puck line. And you can maybe talk me into the whole 60-minute line, but I would rather just take the puck line. And that over, I don't know. Maybe you guys can make sense of it. I don't feel good one way or the other. I'm probably leaning under. No, I'm not. I'm leaning over. Now that I think more, now that I've thought about it for an extra 3 seconds, if the Islanders win this game, it's going over, in my opinion. John, what do you see here?
I think we're pretty much in agreement here. I know, right?
Wow.
I think we're. I also like the Islanders puck line here, mainly because I think the money line's too high, but I think the money line's very telling at the same time. Like you just said, the Islanders are coming off a game where there's no nice way to put this. They got spanked. They were still on holiday break, clearly, from their first game back on the island on Wednesday night by the Penguins, getting blown out 7-0. And now you're telling me they're minus 155 on the money line after a game like that? I just think that's very telling. And like the Capitals, outside the Sharks, are the worst scoring team in the league as well. And despite the Islanders having a bad penalty kill, they don't have to worry about it that much because the Capitals power play is like non-existent.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think with that said, this just screams an Islanders bounce back game, and they haven't had to travel at all. And meanwhile, the Capitals have still been in New York since Wednesday, so I guess neither team's really traveling. With that said, I think I see this as a valuable puck line for the Islanders. I agree with you. I think to play it safe, I'm going to stay away from the total. But in terms of the puck line, I'm in hard agreement with you. Islanders all the way.
What about you, Andre? You got this look on your face. What's coming here?
Yeah. So Mark, John, first round collectibles, winners and whiners, total apex. Everyone who has interest, in my opinion, I'm sorry, but there's not enough money in the world you could hand me to like touch this game.
Really?
Just can't do it. These are I'd argue the two weirdest teams in the entire NHL, holding the last two Eastern Conference playoff spots right now. picking up 60% of their points this season. Islanders have a -11 goal differential. The Capitals have a -13 goal differential. These are two teams we've been waiting to fall off, it feels like, for, I'd say, weeks, if not a month.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just strange. They've met 3 times already this season. 2 times in DC. Islanders won the first one 3-0. The second game was in Long Island. Capitals 4-1 win. And Mark, you said 60-minute line. That's kind of blasphemous for Metro teams. These guys met recently.
Oh,
in
fair.
Washington, 3-2 overtime game.
Mm-hmm.
These are teams that it seems like they get points and they win when it doesn't even make sense to. There's not a chance in hell I'm taking the Islanders puck line. I'd lean more towards the Capitals money line just for value, just because I feel like, what, they lost 2 in a row. They've only scored 1 goal in each. I feel like they're a little due for a bounce back as well. I know it's not quite 7-0. And I just feel like they have a true strength in this game. The Islanders kind of in this weird limbo where I guess the power play is a strength, but the Capitals, there's a clear identity of PK, defense, goaltending. Hopefully they start Charlie Lindgren for this game for their sake. He's been better than Kemper all season. Kemper started the last game. But I digress. I think the Washington Capitals win this game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it goes to overtime. I'm leaning more towards the under. I see this being a 3-2 game again, like the last one was. I think the first 2 games both finished under the total as well. And just somewhat related to the game, but something that popped in my mind. Varlamov got hurt spelling Samsonov, not Samsonov. What's the dude's name? Sorokin in the Penguins game. So, better hope Sorokin's on point for this one and the next few, because their goaltending situation is in limbo right now for the Islanders.
So according to dailyfaceoff.com, Charlie Lindgren is in net tonight for...
Yeah, definitely taking the Capitals then. Dude's been a beast this year.
Yeah, I can't argue with
such big favorites then.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't argue with the Charlie Lindgren piece of it. He has been phenomenal for them this year. And my pick for the puck line, it's not so much to fade Washington or pump the Islanders' tires either. I just think it's a bad spot for Washington. I think they've been on the road a lot this month. And I think like the Islanders and the Penguins have history too. Like they've met in the playoffs a bunch. I just think that was embarrassing. And I just feel like something has to give there. All right. Heading south to Texas. Chicago is in Dallas. Man, these puck lines are difficult for the Chicago Blackhawks, eh? It's tough. Plus 310 road dogs, minus 395 home favorites for Dallas, minus 1.5 for Dallas, minus 142. That is crazy. Plus 1.5 is plus 120 for the Blackhawks. Over 6 minus 122. The under is plus 102. Andre, what do you see here, man?
I feel like every time I get sucked into believing the Blackhawks are, turning a corner, like playing better, whatever, they let me down. But here I am again, and I'm going to roll with them plus 1.5 at the plus 120. Fantastic value. And we've talked about, I think all week, we've talked about how Dallas without Jake Ottinger, just not quite the same, not as formidable, much more vulnerable. Connor Bedard's been electric. I know it hasn't translated to winning per se, even though it did the other night, but I really like what the Blackhawks have been doing lately, even with the pair of losses sprinkled in their last 5. I don't think Dallas is at Dallas is not at their best right now. I think they're way too highly favored in this game. I think the Blackhawks can keep this one within a goal. I think Connor Bedard's going to score again. So I like Bedard goal scorer. I like Blackhawks plus 1.5. And I'm leaning slightly towards over 6.
I agree with you on that over for sure. I think that like Dallas 5-2 in their last 7, not the most convincing 5-2, like you said, for sure. In those since November the 30th, they have scored less than 3 goals twice. And so I think that is in their wins. I can't remember for sure. But either way, I think that Dallas could put goals up here. But I also think that's Chicago can too. And I like the +1.5. I like the over more. Like the over is probably my favorite play. But you can talk me into Chicago +1.5 for sure. Just a comment about Dallas, and this has nothing to do with the game tonight necessarily. Take this like for whatever. I was going through their roster tonight, looking through stats and looking for props and all that kind of stuff. They have 9 players with 8 or more goals. Robertson has 94 shots on net. He's the only player with over 80 shots on the team. Everybody else is 70s, 60s, 50s. This team is a pretty deep team, and I'm really interested to see as the season rolls on if they can be just a bit more consistent, because they have the depth to be consistent. And so I'm really curious to see how this team goes moving forward, because we've been talking about Colorado, Vancouver, Kings, Vegas, Jets, who aren't playing until tomorrow, and I need a Jets game in my life. It's been like 3 days, and I want to watch the Jets, but I'm interested to see what happens with this Dallas team over the next few months, because they're a good team. They just haven't quite been playing to that level. Throwing out, because of the depth, I'm actually staying away from props for Dallas. Bedard, 15 goals. The guy's scoring all the time right now. He's +160. A little deep dive. Dickinson for Chicago. He has 11 goals. He's +360. Second most goals on the Blackhawks. Who is Dickinson, you ask? I have no idea, but he has 11 goals, and that's pretty high odds. So if you're doing some long shot lotto parlay, hey, why not? +360. Throw it in there. John, what do you see here, man?
Chicago makes me nervous to bet against them because I feel like I've gotten burned by them multiple times since we've done this podcast.
Sure.
When they're heavy underdogs. With that said, I think more than anything, this is going to be a game where I trust the sports books. They do this year, they have rarely been wrong when they're this heavy on one side. Like we even talked about this last night, where the Oilers were very questionable favorites, and they were practically -400 against the Sharks, maybe more. I don't remember exactly, but the Oilers
like
smoked them.
Or something, yeah.
I think this is just a game where I'm trusting the sports books to be right, because they rarely put out these kind of odds unless it's like heavily one-sided. So in my mind, this is like Dallas is going to smoke them. That's kind of and I think it's very telling that they have these odds without Ottinger, and Chicago's coming off a big win on Wednesday. So I just feel like this is a spot where Dallas destroys Chicago. So I'm picking Dallas -2.5, and I'm picking the under.
Wow, John. I thought we kissed and made up, bro.
This is the one game I think I'm going really different.
No, here. I can't disagree.
Nervous to pick against Chicago, though.
Yeah, I mean, I do disagree just because I'm picking like Chicago +1.5. However, I can't argue with the facts that you're saying. I just think Chicago's been frisky. All right, another team I'm really interested about this game. in St. Louis. Colorado is in St. Louis. Colorado is minus 170 favorites on the road. That's actually changed to minus 166. St. Louis is plus 140. The over is 6.5 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. Minus 1.5 for Colorado is plus 145. Plus 1.5 for St. Louis is minus 175. Andre, what do you see in this game?
I'm smelling an upset in this one. I'm not gonna lie. Well, for starters, the last time these teams played, the Blues won 8-2, which is pretty bad. But the Blues 3-game winning streak, they're 11-5 on home ice. They've been a way better team at home all season. With either coaching staff, the Avalanche have been mediocre on the road. They're 7-3. We just spent in the desert, and here they are on the road against a division rival that's playing tough. They've lost 4 straight road games? No, it's more than that. Excuse me right now. So I just really think this is a game that the Blues keep it rolling. They keep it rolling. I don't trust the Avalanche on the road right now. I think it's really that simple for me.
Yeah, I'm getting similar vibes. John, what do you feel?
This is my stay away game from the night. I'm not touching this one. I agree with Andre. I do not trust Colorado right now. I think it's very concerning they blew that lead against the Coyotes the other night. And St. Louis has shown they're capable of an upset. I mean, they just did it the other night. I think with that said, Colorado has too many redemption arc narratives going for them in this game, having come off arguably their worst loss of the year and an 8-2 loss earlier this season against the Blues. That screams a bounce back. So I somewhat understand the line, but I don't think Colorado has earned that trust, in my opinion. And quite frankly, there's no valuable bet that I would want to take because my gut feeling would say Colorado wins by 1, but like the money line's too juiced up. The St. Louis puck line is too juiced up. I don't really trust the alternatives enough. I don't even trust St. Louis enough to pick a money line for them, and I think that's the closest I would come to making a pick for anything in this game. But yeah, that's pretty much where I stand. Like I would just stay away from this one entirely. I don't like anything here.
Yeah, that win St. Louis had against Dallas, that one spoke to me, man. Like that was a really, really good game. They're 5-1 in their last 6. I'm with you, Andre. Like the plus 142, I love it. I think I love it. It's probably rich. I like it. I think it's a good line. St. Louis 5-1 in their last 6. Colorado in the month of December, they're 6-7. They're even when they win, it's not overly clean and like tidied up and professional. I do agree with you, John. The Colorado has too much for me to even touch the total personally. I don't trust the over, don't trust the under. But as far as recent consistency, St. Louis 4 or more goals in all but one of their last 5 wins. So like St. Louis has been scoring. I believe the one was their last game against Dallas, if I remember that correctly. However, where Colorado can expose St. Louis, and I'm looking towards this in the prop section of my bets tonight, is the penalty kill and the power play. Colorado's 8th power play. St. Louis is 18th on the penalty kill. Nathan MacKinnon has 22 power play points. He's plus 105. Rantanen has 21 power play points. He's plus 135. And Makar has 18 power play points. He's plus 150. Jordan Kyrou has 120 shots. His over for shot total is 3.5 at plus 105. Nathan McKinnon averages 4.5 shots per game, and his over is exactly 4.5 shots per game, and that's plus 100. So I like the St. Louis money line. If you want to fade St. Louis for whatever reason and don't want to take a result bet, I like the power play bets for Colorado. 2 more games left, both on the West Coast. Arizona, our boys. Arizona. Sorry, Sharks. We're not moving on. We're just seeing our options. We're just swiping right now. Not fully committed. Arizona is in Anaheim, minus 130 favorites. The Ducks are plus 110 at home. The over is 6.5, and the over is plus 102, which kind of surprised me. The under is minus 122. Minus 1.5 for Arizona is plus 180. And the Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 218. John, what do you see from this game? I'm going to kind of prompt you here with a question. Did the 5-2 win against Vegas mean anything for you with the Ducks? We liked this team at the beginning of the year. Do you think they're coming back a little frisky, or is that just one of those games?
I think it meant something to me, which is why I'm picking the Ducks in an upset here. I feel like me and you view the Coyotes very differently. I don't really think they're for real, and I'm kind of calling them out on this game. If they do end up winning this game, I'll apologize by the new year. But I want to see a little more from the Coyotes. They got maybe their biggest win of the year on Wednesday night. I want to see if this goes to their heads or not. I think it's a good test because the Ducks are a team. The Ducks, quite frankly, are a team that can easily be looked over, and the Ducks have made several teams pay when they do that, including my Devils last week. So I am a bit concerned Arizona is going to end up overlooking the Ducks in this situation after a big, big win against Colorado on Wednesday, which may be their biggest of the year. I mean, special teams, I don't think is a decent edge for either side here. I am a little worried about the goaltending for the Ducks, but I think the lack of travel is a good advantage for them. And coming off a nice win against Vegas, where quite frankly the Ducks look good, I feel like I trust the Ducks a little more to build off that momentum. Not for anything long term, but like enough to win tonight. I think I'm taking the Ducks in a close game.
Yeah, I think we might be a little bit more on the same page than you might think. Andre, what do you see here? Same thing? Or are you going the other way?
So I'm gonna lone wolf the Yotes here. Is that what I'm hearing out of you, Mark?
No, I'm still thinking about it. That's why I let you go first.
Nah, John, you don't like Arizona, what they've been doing. You're not sold yet. And I think I am, honestly. They've been streaky. Obviously, they had 3-game losing streak into a 5-game winning streak into a 4-game losing streak into a 4-game winning streak, which ended recently with the back-to-back games against Colorado. They lost the first one, won the last one. But that points to me is that they're on the hotter side right now. I think as is, they're tough to score on. 5-on-5. They have a solid power play, solid offense. The PK could use some work, but it's not crippling. I just really like what this Arizona team has been doing. So I would take them money line. I think I would take them 60-minute line. I really trust that they're going to win this game, and I don't think it's going to require overtime. And I definitely take the under 6.5 just because I think their goaltending is going to shine in this one. Again, the defense. Again, I know the Ducks just scored 5 goals, but in the 2 games before that, both at home, they had 2 against the Kraken, got shut out by the Flames. They're 29th in goals per game this season. I'm not trusting this Anaheim offense. They they've beaten Vegas twice now. I think it's more of just they match up well and have Vegas's number.
Yeah, so this is actually, believe it or not, this is probably my stay away. And the reason being is I like Andre, like I love this Coyotes team. I think they are for real. I think John is wrong. And I think John needs to get a really good a hard look in the mirror about this Coyotes team.
Might be my words on the new year.
I think they're for real. I also just came to my mind, we need to find a Philadelphia Coyotes to make the playoffs parlay, see what that is, and make a little friendly side bet. No, I think the Coyotes are absolutely for real. I think that they won a massive game the other night. And I think if they were going home staying home, I would feel a little bit differently. I think with the big win that the Ducks had, and they're coming home now, the Ducks had a big game too. They had a big win too. Overall, I trust the Coyotes more. I just think this is a tough spot for them. I think the Ducks show signs of kind of coming back around. The other thing with the Coyotes that has me paying attention is starting in late November, the Coyotes won 5 in a row, then they lost 4, and now they've won 4 of 5. They seem to go through these like chunks where they're just like winning a bunch of games, losing a bunch of games, winning a bunch of games, and they're currently winning a bunch of games. So I'm a little bit wondering if they're going to kind of go back to losing a couple in a row and then come back around. Long term, I do trust the Coyotes way more than the Ducks, but tonight I'm feeling a little bit nervous. What I will say on the prop side, though, I'm pretty sure I'd have to look at it. I think this team has made me the most money when it comes to props. Keller, 12 goals, plus 175. Krause, 15 goals, plus 195. Carcone has 14 goals, and he's plus 425. Now, he hasn't scored since December the 11th, but still, plus 425 for a 14-goal score. Eventually, he's going to get another one. And why not tonight, boys? Vetrano on the Duck side, he has 16 goals. He's plus 205. And I don't love, like the Coyotes have the 11th power play in the league. The penalty kill for the Ducks is 15th. Not crazy loving this, but Keller has 15 power play points, and for him to net one is plus 240. And he's their best player. If they get a power play, I think he'll put one in. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I love the prompts, but I'm a little bit uneasy about the results. I would love to be wrong on this one, though. Like, being wrong to John stings, but to you, Andre, I love the Coyotes, and I love to be wrong. All right, last game of the night. Philadelphia in Seattle. Seattle is minus 135. Philly is plus 114. Seattle on the puck line, is plus 185. Philly on the plus puck line is minus 225. The over is 6 at minus 105, and the under is minus 115. So everything that I said about Philadelphia at the beginning of today's show, absolutely true. I absolutely believe it. I actually think this is a bad spot for Philly, and I think Seattle wins this game. And I don't minus 135. It's okay. I'd be curious to know what the 60-minute line is. I think Philadelphia had a heck of a game last night, and I think they uh before last night they lost 2 in a row, but they were 7-1 on the previous 8. I think Philly's been playing really good hockey. I just think going for Vancouver. I know Vancouver to Seattle is not too far, but Seattle, since their 8-game losing streak, they're 5-2, and they're now home after a 4-game road trip. Their goaltending has surprisingly been very good over the last couple weeks. And I like Seattle here. The only real props that I see, Tippett, 12 goals, 3 in the last 5. He's plus 210. He has 119 shots over 3.5, is plus 140. And Bjorkstrand has 97 shots over 2.5 for him, is plus 100. Those are my favorite props. But I think this is a tough, personally, I think it's a tough position for Philly. Andre, what do you see here?
Yeah, I know I like to mess up. I almost said the Sixers, the Flyers, and Tortorella, and how they play on the road and all that. But this is a Kraken team. I think I've taken them all 3 games of their current winning streak. I'm going to stick with it, mostly because of the scheduling. They're playing well, obviously, but they're catching a Philly team on the second half of a back-to-back. I know Vancouver to Seattle isn't very far, but the Kraken back home finally. They're hot. The fresher legs. Just, I don't think they gave up 2 goals against Anaheim, and that was the most in that 3-game winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy defense and goaltending right now. I love what they're doing. And I looked at the 60-minute line like you. I was interested in it. It's plus 100, and I think I would take that also for the Kraken. I really think the Kraken are going to win this game. I think it's going to be low scoring. So I like the Kraken money line. I like the Kraken 60-minute line, and I like the under.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you. John, are you right there with us or what?
I'm shocked that this is a clean sweep. I thought I was going to be lone wolf in Seattle in this one.
No way, man. It's a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned on yesterday's show, I really liked Philadelphia beating Vancouver and then losing to Seattle, mainly because I think last night was the game Philadelphia left everything on the ice. I do not think this is a good spot at all for them. I don't want to say Philly is going to get caught looking past Seattle. I think my general take is with a Tortorella team, they were just a lot more invested in the Vancouver game last night. And the way they played, it seems like that's aging well. The sports books seem to agree, honestly, I think we can all agree Philadelphia is a better team than Seattle overall, but this is just a bad spot for them. And you guys mentioned it already. Seattle's playing well going into this game, so that doesn't help Philadelphia's cause. I'm with Seattle 60-minute line all the way.
Absolutely love it. What was the odds there? Plus 100? Plus 100? Yeah. I like
exactly.
that.
Plus
I like that. Well, moving on to our best bets brought to you by First Round Collectibles until January the 4th, up to 50% off of tons and tons of sports cards. And with the promo code Sports Addict, you get an additional 10% off. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com, enter the code Sports Addict, and you get an additional 10% off every sale that they have over there. Firstroundcollectibles.com. Sports cards for sports fans. Best bets for me. I'm sticking with this last game. And Bjorkstrand over 2.5 at plus 100. I really, really like that bet. I think, like we talked about, I think Philadelphia, they had an incredible game last night. Long term, we have talked about this. I think Philadelphia is making it to the playoffs. I think they're legit. I just think tonight is a tough spot. I think they'll be tired. I think they'll be slow. And so rather than go with the result, and I'll be honest here, I'm actually kind of fading myself a little bit because the results have been very hit or miss for me this week. When I'm fading myself a little bit. I'm not touching the result, but I do think over 2.5 shots for Bjorkstrand at +1. What I say, +100. I think that is very good value and a low shot total for him. John, what's your best bet of the night, bro?
I think we're picking the same game, and this may be a bold best bet, but I really like that Seattle 60-minute line. I felt from yesterday this was how it was going to play out for Philadelphia, beat Vancouver, then lose to Seattle, and I think the sports books are reflecting this. It seems like a very good spot for Seattle and a very bad spot for Philadelphia. I just don't think they're going to have the heart tonight the way they did last night. I will say, though, if Philadelphia somehow wins this game, it will say a lot about them, and I'll start buying into them a lot more. Not that I haven't already, but I just don't think I'm at your guys' level with them. But with that said, I do like Seattle tonight with the 60-minute line.
What about you, Andre? Are we all going to the same game or what?
I wish I could say it, but I can't. I have a bedtime. So I'm going to go to Florida. I'm going to go from the Pacific Northwest to Sunrise, Florida, from rain to sunshine. And I'm taking the under in Rangers-Panthers. Vegas is on to me. They dropped it down since this pod started from +110 to +105. They know what I know, and that's going to be a low-scoring game. Two great goaltending teams, two great penalty kills. The Panthers' offense struggles as is this season, uncharacteristically, but it's been happening. So under 6, play of the day for me. And I'm very sad to say that DraftKings is not letting me parlay anything involving the Kraken 60-minute line right now. So I just substitute the regular money line. Yeah,
I was looking at the same thing.
It's not available yet. I don't know why.
I could go.
But still, if you use the regular money line with the Bjorkstrand and the Rangers Panthers under, it is +535.
Yeah, that's still good value. I like that. Well, we'll keep an eye.
60-minute line is still a good bet.
Yeah, 100%.
I kind of like that parlay.
We'll see. Yeah, I do too. I think Andre knows his team really well. I think that total in the Rangers Panthers, that one makes me a little nervous. But I like that, and I like those odds. Well, everybody, phenomenal shows today. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful New Year's. Safe. Be smart out there. John, drink lots of water. All right?
Why is this towards me?
I don't know.
I'm probably going to end up working that night.
I'm just picking on you this week. I'm not too sure why. But no, for real, everybody, have a phenomenal weekend. Stay tuned. The Sports Addict Live NHL show will be doing something on New Year's Day, and you'll find more information on our Twitter or X or whatever as the weekend goes along. Until then, good luck on your bets, and boys, have a wonderful weekend and a happy New Year. We'll see you next year.
See you next year.
See you next year. All right. Thanks for watching.